Okay, everyone, we are back for a special podcast. In this one, we're going to rip the Fantastic Four reboot to fucking shit.
Don't you mean do a nice, unbiased, equal-handed spoiler cast?
It kind of did that to itself, though. It kind of ripped itself up.
I wonder if we can get Josh Trank to join us on ripping it apart.
I mean, the guy has no problem ripping it apart on Twitter, even though apparently that's going to cost him a bunch of money in legal fees.
You could see the parts where it was like, oh, Fox came in here, is just made it so different what he wanted.
You reshoot so bad, it's not even funny.
It's painful to see.
Kate Mara's hair's like a big flag to tell which scenes were shot.
Exactly.
3 months ago.
And especially you could tell because of the way different tonal shift. Like, I was just
you know what? Let me start off on a positive note about this movie. And believe it or not, I have one fucking positive that I genuinely loved about this movie.
I bet we all have the same one.
And the scene where they're running back from the negative zone or the planet, whatever the fuck, and they get in and that accident starts happening and like they warp back and it's literally like a fucking horror film. And like I'm at the edge of my seat, I'm like, holy shit, like he's stretching, he thinks his friends are dead, he thinks Ben is about to be crushed from all this weight. And I'm like, it was genuinely a good fucking scene. And I'm like, that right there, I could see hints of genius, but other than that, the entire movie was fucking crap.
I don't get that.
That was probably like day one shooting.
So basically, what you're saying, the stuff you liked is the Impossible Family stuff from Venture Brothers when they did the same thing, only it was a joke.
You know what though? Like I feel like some people were saying like you saw how like Johnny, because the fire was on him and then the rocks on Ben, but it's just like Sue and Reed. It's hard to say like, oh yeah, he just stretches and she goes more invisible, but it's okay with me. I was like, it makes sense because the energy came back.
Yeah, ain't that some shit? It's not enough to be like, well, how do the Fantastic Four get their powers? Well, rocks touched Ben and fire touched Johnny, so that's how their powers work. But what about stretching and invisibility?
The stationary cupboard exploded.
Yeah, like I get some people were asking like, shouldn't it show a little bit more where they go? I'm like, no, I think it made alright sense for that. Plus, you saw like the energy came back.
You're saying that, and then like you say the energy came out, right? Yeah. So why the fuck was only she affected when it affected like 10 city blocks? Isn't this the same thing as the Flash effect?
I thought it was. It shut down the power
everywhere.
Yeah,
it's just like took the whole power of like New York or wherever.
The shockwave was huge, and also we clearly saw that they didn't live alone in the Baxter building. You mean to tell me there was no security, there was no janitors out in the hall?
From what I saw, it was mostly just it was only Sue in that one area where the teleporter was, and then when they came back, that like you saw that it kind of got like fire everywhere. That's why you saw like the little horror aspect when Miles Teller was crawling. I think it only affected that area, like the energy, but the shockwave of like the power that was like the whole city. It shut down the whole freaking.
Well, okay, if we want to look at it that way, then let's think of this for a second. The Fantastic Four get their powers in this movie because they got drunk and went on a stupid joyride in which they don't even invite Sue Richards on the thing, even though she's their friend and helped them every step of the way. They don't invite her.
You know what? Since Armin was saying his favorite scene,
did Joe drop out?
I think he dropped out.
Joe's robot. He might be downloading something.
Oh no, I don't think
so. Or did Doom get
Dr. Doom virus.
You go. I'll be right back.
I was going to say, what's even better about that bit, too, is they don't invite Sue, but they wait 40 minutes for Ben, and they even make a point of saying they waited 40 minutes for him to come. Which, again, makes very little sense.
They sober up and think, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Nah, man, they just kept drinking from Dr. Doom's little hip flask. It's got that Latverian rye, and it makes you do dumb things.
I don't know, it's just like... I don't even know where to start with talking about how bad the movie was. Like
the second half, that's where you can start.
Yeah, because
how about at the start where Homer Simpson like says he does like witchcraft and shit because
Homer Simpson is his teacher. How great is that?
I think I won't say I like the second half, but I don't hate it. I just bored. I'm tired. Like I got sleepy. Like, I didn't like. I wasn't. I don't know if y'all were watching the second half and y'all were like, "Oh, this hurts me," but me, I was just like, "Oh wait, whatever."
Well, here's
that happened.
The first half I'm watching it, I'm like, so far it's a 4. And then they do a 1-year time jump where the Fantastic Four is a fucking kill squad in Afghanistan. I was like, go
they
fuck
do
yourself.
They do 2 time jumps. They do one at the start and one like halfway through the film.
For me, the first 40 minutes to an hour, before the 1-year jump, like when even when like you said the horror aspects of it, like he's on fire and he's stretching or something, up to that point I was like, it's not as bad. I thought it was gonna be so worse than it was, and then you get to the second half, I was like, oh.
You know what? I actually dug the stuff with them as kids in the beginning, which again, because it's basically lifted entirely from the Ultimate Fantastic.
I like when the kids are smarter than the adults. Just saying that.
And there's a bit there where they're working in the garage, and you can kind of see where they're going with Reed for this movie, where he's like, oh, I'm a genius and no one understands me. I'm constantly having to tone myself down for all these dumb people around me. It's basically like The Incredibles, which is still ironically the best Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Made by Disney.
Made by Disney, I know, right? and had they continued that theme through the rest of this movie, the idea where Reed's like, oh, I'm so smart, but it also makes me kind of arrogant. But at least I'm better than Dr. Doom. At least I'm better than Victor. That would have been a good movie, but literally that whole bit gets dropped after the intro, and that's probably the biggest problem with Fantastic Four, is that it's not about anything.
You're right. Like, if you kept the arrogant part, that would have been cool. And plus, if it actually had when Fox did it messed up, which we knew it wasn't going to go well anyways, if it did, it would have made sense to make him more of the maker, like he turns villainous.
What honestly this movie screams of is fucking Wolverine Origins meddling. Because you go look at the original version they want to do of Wolverine Origins, and it was a complete movie. Like, they had Deadpool in there, and he was supposed to be Wade Wilson, and he wasn't supposed to be stupid shut-mouth, but then, the studio meddled. They're like, no, we need him to be like this. We need this, we need this. And, like, you can see, genuinely, there are a few good scenes in this movie and themes, but, like, at some point, maybe when the first trailer came out, they got so panicked that they're like, no, the kids love the Avengers. We need Avengers.
Make it just
when you look at
it ends exactly how Age of Ultron.
Oh God,
yeah.
You know what though, and there's a thing, like, I don't know if like anybody else ever thought of this, but I thought, because knowing like Josh Trank's, like, he wanted to keep it so small, I would have thought where Doom goes off back to the world with the teleporter, I thought it would end something like that, and then they say we'll get him next time. Like, it didn't seem like it was supposed to have this big, like, action that 5 minutes that lasted 5 minutes.
I get the feeling Tim Blake Nelson was supposed to be the villain as the Mole Man, much as he was in the original Ultimate comic story, but they cut that because they're like, no, we need to have Dr. Doom in here if we don't have Dr. Doom.
You're right. It was supposed to be a little bit smaller like that, and they would have to fought him, because when Doom comes back, he probably could have did something to him, and he would have changed right at the end. That would have been like the last fight scene. But no, they wanted to make this like quick fight, literally 5 to 10 minutes of something happening over there. I was just like,
it's funny too. After watching this, I went home the next night and I popped in Chronicle again to watch it, because I'm like, okay, let me remind myself why I like Josh Trank. I really
it's funny you should say that, because apparently the same thing happened on Chronicle. Like, it was taken away from him in post-production and like editing and stuff, and was edited the way it was like actually shown and everything, so it's why it's
I think he has nice ideas and themes, but nobody ever lets him.
Well, it's funny because I really like Chronicle, and I found like some shocking similarities, like whole shots basically where it's like, he kind of does this in both movies. Like, there's the bit where the three of them, like Victor and Reed and when they're all drinking together. And I'm like, this is basically just like the scenes from Chronicle when they're all hanging out and being D-bags.
Or it's also like The Fly,
Yeah, and Victor is basically just friggin' Dane DeHaan. From Chronicle is all he is. I'm an idealistic person, but my idealism turned to cynicism, and now I'm evil and can make people's head blows up with psychic powers.
You know what?
That's given a little bit too much,
to be honest, though, out of the whole thing, for me, I know it's not Dr. Doom from the comics, guys. I know. I don't know if anybody hates me, but I think he made the most sense. Like, even when he was talking as a scientist, and like, why would you want to bring the people destroying Earth to the new planet that you could possibly make better? He's the only one. Plus, he was like an avatar.
Like
this dude could control fire, water, earth.
Saying, but here was my problem. And it's not. I'm not even going to touch upon the whole comic thing because they completely fucked that up.
Yeah,
not even
really.
like.
Yeah.
The moment I hated in the movie, and this really fucking ticked me off, it's they bring in Reed Richards and he's doing the equation, right?
Yeah.
And there's 3 cutaways while they're doing that fucking prepping where he's writing the equation. Dr. Doom walks up, or Victor, and he fixes his equation, and that's the only way to stick with. I'm like, so now you've taken the core element of Reed Richards, who's the smartest man in the fucking Marvel universe, and literally gave it to Dr. Doom for his entire end plot. Not even to be revealed. Where the fuck did he come up with a teleporting device out of lifting rocks? Like, what? How did?
Here's the thing: in the editing, it makes no sense because it went from Dr. Doom to like, oh, I hate this Earth. I'm going back to negative Earth. And then as soon as he gets back to negative Earth, oh, he's opening a wormhole to destroy Earth. Really? That jumped pretty quick.
Ask you guys a question. Maybe I missed this while watching the movie. Maybe I just fucking fell asleep or had an aneurysm. Did they ever explain this? He, at the end, is fighting the Fantastic Four, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he lifts a bunch of rocks and starts tossing them around in a whirlwind because he knows Sue is invisible. When did he see her invisible and what her power was?
Did she even go invisible? Or
yeah, she was invisible in a bubble. And
I thought she only turned thing invisible.
I don't understand, because he had, massive, power, gaps. Dude, you see that scene where he's, walking through that facility, and he's just killing people left, right, and center.
Okay, I like that scene. I don't know about y'all, but I really like that.
That was Dr. Doom.
That was good. That was
dude, when he was from the moment when they picked him up, but from when they had him strapped on and they were and then he was talking to them, and then he just opens up like nothing, bam, kills people, explodes their heads. I was like, damn, this is actually freaking. And when they were walking around the team, like Reed Richards and all of them, I was like, wow, it's like a really horror movie right here. They cut out the scene with Johnny though, and I think they had that in the trailer, and it looked really well in the trailer. But I don't know why they cut it out in the movie.
You know what? Let's talk about Johnny while we're here, because Johnny Storm, of course, he's the funny guy. He's the life of the party. He's the dude who really.
He called him Adolf and Borat.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that, Joe. Here's the thing: because they cut Doom's whole hacker backstory, you don't really understand why they hate him. So what you're kind of left with is a movie where Johnny makes constant fun of Victor, basically just for being foreign.
Yep.
Yeah, but he calls him Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. And then it comes back even worse in the end of the movie when he's talking to Ben. He's like, yeah, the thing nobody wanted. And it's like, whoa. Now, obviously...
Yeah, where the fuck did that come from?
Obviously, in the comics, the Thing and the Human Torch bust each other's balls all the time. And it's super fun to watch.
Yeah, and isn't it funny in that instance that everybody was saying, oh, man, you guys just don't want to see the movie because you're racist against black. And it's the black dude that's racist in the movie against everyone.
The only problem is Johnny and Ben had 2 scenes together in the entire movie. So they never set up that relationship. So when he says that thing, it's really horrible.
You know what, though? You say they never set up that relationship. They never even set up Ben that much. They took out a lot of his stuff. They were supposed to show one where he's playing baseball, fixing a bike and everything more in his, wherever he lives in junkyard. But they cut it all out. I remember.
I'm going to say right now, you know what this movie strikes me of? In 15 years, maybe in 10 years, they're going to alien the fuck out of this, where they're going to settle it with Josh Trank and bring him back and be like, let's sit down, let's release your original cut like Alien 3, and it's going to be the definitive issue. And people are going to watch and be like, you know what? The theatrical cut might have been bad, but if they would have went with this, I could actually stomach it. Because
it would have been a full movie.
Right,
what he did.
Speaking of Ben Grimm, there perhaps one of the dumbest decisions they made for this movie, and I have no idea why they felt this was a good idea. They gave a dark, traumatic backstory to the Thing's famous catchphrase of "It's clobbering time." What?
I don't mind the tragic. I just don't like that he used the famous line in it. I don't mind that he was kind of beaten by his brother a little bit. I just don't like that he used.
That's terrible, though, Joe. It's it would be like if Fred. It would be like if Fred Flintstone's Yabba Dabba Doo. If it was his father said that before he molested him.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I hate that part. I'm talking about the whole little backstory of why he's a little bit tougher and whatever.
I don't mind that aspect because
I just hate that
with that before. But it's I just don't like.
Yeah, I'll agree.
The way.
Why did you need to take a catchphrase and make it all dark and gritty?
No. You know what, though? It doesn't even make sense why he would want to say it at the end when it was a bad time for him, when his brother would beat him up.
I can't wait. Imagine if Fox had Spider-Man And like we see freaking Uncle Ben diddling Peter Parker, go with great power comes great responsibility. It's like that. That's what they did with it.
It would make no sense.
It's like, no, he just says it because it's a cool thing to say. It never needed a backstory. That's the weird thing about this movie, is that it over-explains certain aspects and then explains other aspects not at all.
No, you know what? That would have been cool if it was like him when it was time for him to wreck, because you know he was like more muscly, more like the muscle. He was the muscle compared to Reed. It would have made sense like when Reed would call him in like a younger to be the muscle, and he says like it's time to wreck, or it's time to be the beast. You know, something like that. It's call time, and then it would have made sense later. It doesn't make sense the way it is.
Also, the fact that they even say it's clobbering time at the end, that felt like a reshoot too. That's where they're like, oh, well, we got to put it in at the fight though, because if we don't have it.
You know what though? I like the look of thing. I just felt like his voice should have been a little bit deeper, but I didn't hate it all that much. I just felt it should have been deeper.
I actually don't mind his look either. Like I was okay with
the
it.
Voice for me
in certain angles, he looked really phenomenal. Like
I thought the motion,
like when the lighting isn't super dark, you look at him, you're like, you know what? I could see that this isn't a bad design, but then the next design, you're like, what the hell happened? Like, I don't know. Like,
also, too, apparently the Fantastic Four adopted the X-Men's black armor because they weren't using it anymore. They're like, oh, we'll take it.
I mean, you know what? I also kind of liked the aspect of how Reed was going to be on the run and try to figure it out on his own, but you know, they didn't do too much with it because Fox cut it out.
Was he really, Joe? Because he goes from, I'm coming back for you, Ben, I'm coming back for everybody, to I'm no good to any of you. What?
That part, I feel like that was the issue. Like, I'm no good for any of you. I don't know, because I feel like that
makes it sound like you were never coming back. That makes it seem like you were just sitting on your ass tinkering with a car for a whole year in Panama.
Yeah, like if they wouldn't had that part, and if they had like, I'm coming back for you, and he was like trying to figure out his own way or whatever, it would have kind of made sense, because you know, him being a scientist, he had to, you know, get out of Dodge. Like this, he was not. I don't know. In this part, at least, he didn't seem that like a natural born leader. He didn't seem like that in this movie, so that it made sense for him to run and come back. But they let go of that later.
In my head, it was like, oh, okay, so he's building some sort of crazy device or gadget, and he's gonna bust him out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and then they completely shut it down.
Yeah, only they shut it down completely, and it was at that moment it hit me. I'm like, wow. This movie has the most unheroic hero since Green fucking Lantern. They quit, they kill people for the government, they have no interest in anything but themselves, because they're working for the government selfishly to cure themselves. That's where I'm just like, wow, I don't like any of you.
Johnny kind of had it, but for like a second, and it could have been better. It could have been way better the way they handled Johnny. But
Johnny goes along with it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go on missions now, too, and I'm going to get to kill people.
I'm going to go kill the Taliban and get a kill count.
He played Call of Duty. What can I say?
He's like, and that's gonna make me, you know, that's gonna make someone proud in their eyes because something.
But you know what though, like with Doom, his was like, it was meant for him. You know, he felt like he had to. When I heard Toby Kebbell talking about like the backstory he created for Doom and what Doom is doing or what he wants to do, it's like he was following this burden, and he feels the negative, like Planet Zero, whatever they called it, that this was all meant for him. Like the power he got, he was destined to have it. It's like a godlike complex that he has.
And still nothing like Dr. Doom. Yeah.
I still wanted something with that. Like I swear, man, I just, you know what? Even when I look at some of the old trailers and I got some screenshots, there's so many things they took out and changed. Like the whole walking down the scene, he didn't have the glowing green on him at first. It was actually, he was going to look a little bit different.
Also, they cut 3 massive set pieces from the film.
Clearly.
And,
also, let's talk about the negative zone too for a second. The fact that they maybe only explored.
You mean Planet Zero?
Oh yeah, Planet Zero. Yeah, sorry. The fact that they maybe explored the same 5 feet of it over and over again.
Yeah, you know, I wish they could have explored it more, because I thought it could have looked cool, and it kind of did, but they didn't explore so much of it. It was just
Also, this is probably another dumb comment, and I'm kind of taking what Matt said. So in this completely abandoned planet, alternate dimension, the movie can't quite make up its mind. Where did Dr. Doom find that cloak?
Yeah, that's a random, like, hefty bag.
Has he been sewing it for a year? Is that how?
Would it be better if you actually saw what he was doing that whole year, like parts of it, or is it better to keep it a mystery?
That would have filled out the movie.
No. Yeah. I mean, in the original cut, I don't think he would have that, but or is it better as a mystery? As like, damn, he's this powerful. You got all like, he's smarter and everything. Or is that better left as a mystery?
Well, you got to have some reason because he just like shows up at the end and
Okay,
says
a
he's
little
jealous
bit.
of Reed and everything for no apparent reason.
Yeah, because they didn't really push the Sue romance, so hell, they don't even end up together at the end of this movie, Sue and Reed.
See, I kind of wish they had cut that out because it's there for like a second or two, the Sue romance and the Doom, and I was like, you could have just cut it out. You didn't really need it. Like, if you were gonna cut out anything, you could have just cut out that. Like, but I will say, like, they cut out the part where Reed talks to Doom when he's shackled or whatever, when he first gets back. That they should have had Reed talk to Doom.
That might have been nice.
Yeah, they should have. They cut it out, and they could have had Reed talk to Doom first, and then brought in I forget what his name was. The dude who's supposed to play Mo-Man. They could have brought him in.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson. Like, it's, I don't know. And plus, you hear it in the trailers too when Reed asks what's coming, and Doom says the answers, and then later on they're like, no, we need to push it because he's Dr. Doom. Then they say Doom later.
Yeah, also, the fact that he calls himself Dr. Doom and that big moment of like, there is no Victor, only Doom, makes me strongly believe that his name was originally supposed to be Victor Von Dam, like in the Ultimate Comics, but that they changed it due to fan outcry, because there's the whole scene, that really cringeworthy scene where Sue's like, oh, you're a real Dr. Doom, aren't you? And I'm like,
God.
The
dialogue in this movie,
he is Doctor his name. That joke doesn't make any sense. It would only make sense if his last name wasn't Doom.
I know probably to y'all it was cringeworthy. It probably would have been to me for some reason. I was like, this is so dumb, but I just laughed. I was like, what?
The joke makes no sense because his name is already Doom, and he probably has a doctorate already.
I know, like, it's just, I was like, what? Isn't his name Doom? Like, what? And I don't know, like, I didn't cringe as much as y'all, but I was just like, asking what? I don't know.
Clearly reshot around.
I mean, his name was supposed to be Victor Domashev or whatever, and then because Toby Kebbell talked and the fan outcry, like, how Ninja Turtles were supposed to be aliens, and then the fan outcry, and then they became the Turtles mutants again.
So they actually made the movie worse by kowtowing to what fans wanted. Amazing.
I mean,
and even then, it still didn't work.
It's obvious what he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be an idealistic Edward Snowden type who was leaking information from this government military thing. So they kicked him out, but they had to bring him back in, and that's why the military dudes didn't like him. And that would inform his ultimate change to villainy at the end, where he's like, "Oh well, now I have the power to do something about it." Again, none of that is Dr. Doom, but it would have made more sense.
Yeah, it would have made sense in the movie, and I thought it would have made for a better character in the movie too. But Fox was like, nope, because you know what? I really appreciated that it tried to be unconventional. It didn't try to be the normal superhero movie. I like that it
failed brutally at it.
Okay, no. But I'm talking about what Josh Trank was trying to do, because this movie, the second half especially, sucked. But the first half, when they were doing like the science and they were exploration, like compared to the Tim Story movies, they did 5 minutes of science or whatever. Here, they did like the first hour of like a little bit more science and all that. I really like that. I was like, oh man, I wish they had more of it.
It does the science, but the problem is, much like movies like Transcendence, this is a really dumb blockbuster that's hoping to be like a small little indie movie about science, and those two things do not gel.
I think it wanted to be a smaller film about science, but Fox came in and wanted, no, this doesn't look like a superhero movie. We got to have a big action, like a typical superhero movie. That's what I think happened. Because
you know how I know it had pretensions of being like a smaller indie movie? There's an entire scene where Sue Storm is like, oh yeah, you've probably never heard of the band I listen to. They're very outside.
God, yeah, I forgot about that.
And the fact that keeps coming up, I'm like, God, I feel like I'm watching Amazing Spider-Man now.
Like, it should have been smaller, and I think it would have been a better film if it was a little smaller, science-y exploration horror type movie. Besides, if it wasn't like, general people who love the Marvel movies because they love they made the template for the big blockbuster hero movies.
That, like, because a bunch of my friends on Facebook, they ended up sharing my review because they all know I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. And they're like, see here, Armin's telling you in. And then there was one particular post where one of that dude's friends was like completely going off on me, like, and I'll kind of just break down what he was saying. He was like, first off, I didn't want a stupid superhero movie. I wanted an original science fiction movie, in which I came back with saying,
then why don't you see a science fiction movie?
I'm like, go fucking see one. Don't ruin the Fantastic Four. And then he goes, and says, well, you're just a fucking asshole who just wants to see this movie fail. I mean, a lot of people worked hard on it. In which I replied, they didn't work hard on it. They actually just worked on it because they had to keep the license, and they were literally 2 days away. It
started 3 weeks before the revert of the license.
And then he comes back, he's like, yeah, we're just one of those like pretentious comic nerds. I'm like, yeah, I am, because they butchered everything about the fucking Fantastic Four. Like,
and you know what? If you want it, like as me and Joe were saying, if you wanted to make a smaller, Fantastic Four movie about science and explore themes about, intelligence and toning yourself down and everything and the arrogance that comes with that.
And the horror.
And horror and body horror and everything. You could do that, but you probably shouldn't make it a summer blockbuster. And I was going to say, you probably shouldn't sink so much money into it. But then I'm like, they didn't sink that much money into this.
I mean, look, I'm betting you it was supposed to be all that, but Fox wanted a superhero. I don't even think it was supposed to be a big blockbuster. It seemed like it was supposed to be smaller from the first hour. But no, Fox wanted
this movie clearly screams from they started production when Man of Steel was coming out. They're like, no, see, everybody wants dark and brooding. And when that flopped with critics, are like, no, we want fun. They're like, well, we're halfway into this. What the fuck do we do now?
Switch gears completely then.
Like, I'm telling you, man, it's just, I don't know. Fox, I don't know, they're both to blame because Trank, even if you got to take the loss, man. You help make the movie, even if like you started it, so you got to take the loss on this movie, but Fox too, because they messed it up big time. So.
You know who's handling it better than anyone? Tim Heidecker of Tim and Eric.
Yeah, I saw he's they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah, who plays Reed's, I guess, abusive dad in the movie. We never actually get any time with him to know if he's abusive or not.
Though.
Well, he wasn't.
He was just stupid. Baseball and then yelling at the screen and shit.
Yeah, I thought he was just not that smart.
Man, forget Homer Simpson and Tim Heidecker. What's up with those cameos?
I don't know. See, from the beginning when it showed the scene in the classroom and it started going, I was like, it feels like this only has 4 to 5 locations, and it looks like it was supposed to be smaller. I swear, man.
They spend most of their time underground and in bunkers to save money.
I know what Armin was saying, that if you wanted to see an original, smaller science fiction movie, go see one. Don't do Fantastic Four. But since they were doing it anyways to this, I would have rather seen that than whatever Fox was trying to do because they messed it up.
You know what? Like again, this movie is getting raked over the coals, and deservedly so.
Oh yeah, the second half.
For being boring, for being sluggish, and having a really lackluster action scene. That's not to say we think every superhero movie should be a total punch 'em up. It's just saying
they shouldn't. No,
they shouldn't be. It's just this one did it badly.
Like I'm telling you, man, it could have been like, just thinking about like the themes it could have went with. If honestly, it didn't seem like it was supposed to have that much action.
Let me tell you this, guys, and then compare what you think. Tell me what you think about this, because obviously I love running the numbers and seeing stuff behind the scenes that I am privy to, but I can't really explain. Let me just put it this way: when I tell you that Guardians of the Galaxy with marketing cost less to make than Fantastic Four with marketing, what do you think?
Wow, for real.
Think of that.
I believe that.
I believe that.
Like that
Marvel Studios knows what they're doing.
That blows my mind that this movie that looks literally dim-lit and like crap, and the CG just doesn't click at all, cost more than Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, how did that happen? And they didn't even do the 3D conversion because they canceled that.
They quit halfway
money into it.
Yeah, they put that money back into the reshoots.
Wow,
I was gonna I don't know, since this is a spoiler cast, like what about the whole Josh Trank tweeting after? How do we all feel about that? Or do you want to say that?
I was gonna say we opened the show with that, but I mean, yeah, like
did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, but we didn't really say how we felt about that.
Like, I mean, I can't blame the dude for getting mad if what he's saying is true, that he had the movie taken away from. That sucks, dude, but at the same time, it's not all about you. Other people worked on the movie, and it's kind of a lame move for you to
and hearing like what he was like as well on set.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of don't feel bad for him.
It doesn't make me like you anymore, Josh.
I mean, to me, like, I don't really agree too much. I'm like, sure, you should. If you're gonna, you shouldn't. Maybe hadn't done that because it's so much more trouble than it's worth. Just one tweet. But if you're gonna do it, I say don't delete it. Don't be a punk about it. That's me. Like, if you're gonna say it, don't.
Made to delete it.
Yeah, but I'm just like, stick to your guns. Like,
I mean, like, he's probably gonna get punished for it. I mean, there's probably something in his contract.
The dude's blacklisted. He's not gonna have a career.
I mean, imagine if the day Star Wars comes out, J.J. Abrams goes, well, it's not the fucking movie I wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm want to take that. Like, whoever said, like, even Man of Steel, Zack Snyder, like, even for Zack Snyder, they let him do a little bit more of his vision. You know, they didn't.
Right.
At least they get, even however we feel about it, at least they let him do it. Yeah, it's just like.
Well, that's because he had other movies under his belt. The only other movie Josh Trank had was Chronicle, and that was just like a lucky break.
And if you look at it too, like for Mark Webb, like he had like maybe a couple music videos in one, or maybe it was one and two short films. I don't know, or not short films. It's just like these indie guys. Like I know they want to do these big things, but they got to have a little bit more movies first before they get, so they can have more clout, or else they get taken advantage of.
Weird situation where Disney and Marvel, they're going after smaller guys, giving them a template and saying do whatever the hell you want with it, but it has to hit these notes, of this right? Template, yeah. And it has to stick kind of with this. And they're like, okay, I think Mark Webb and clearly Josh Trank were told one thing when they show up on set, when they've signed a contract, they go, yeah. Bend the fuck over and do what we tell you to. And they're like, wait, what? It's like, oh, we're slashing your money, we're shoving this in there. And they're like, it's like.
But now that Sony's kind of like whipped by Marvel, they can't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we always knew like Sony's old movies and Fox were like, especially when Amazing Spider-Man that came out, they were always in the back. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. Deadpool's the only thing they really got going for them.
Yeah. Well, and X-Men. Like, I like the X-Men's more than you do. Like, I'm more excited for Age of Apocalypse.
I used to really like the X-Men movies, and then I've always just been going downhill. I don't know why.
I don't know. Hey, it's better than Fantastic Four in comparison.
That's definitely, yeah, for sure.
Well, I like how you say, well, it's better than the other shit. It's like, yeah, but is fucking, like, chunky shit better than, like, I don't know, non-chunky shit? No, it's still shit.
It depends. But
and then weren't they supposed to have a car in the movie too? I saw in that B-roll footage or whatever.
They made reference to it in the beginning where it's just like, oh yeah, you and your flying car you're working on.
And then they were supposed to have one later. No.
It's funny. When I came back home, I really stopped and compared this movie to the 2005-2007 one. And I'm like, wow. You failed in the completely opposite direction. That's kind of amazing.
I mean, who could forget the great line of, wow, maybe we should just let the Earth die. Why aren't you just a Dr. Doom?
Oh, yeah, we already covered that one.
Oh, yeah, we already said that.
That's the only line I remember from the movie. Only line I remember.
It's not very quotable.
I'm pretty sure none of us, hardly anybody would recommend this movie. But if you wanted to, the first half. Just when it gets 1 year later, cut it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, watch the first 15 minutes and then leave.
That's all. Like this is fine.
Then write your own ending.
Yeah, you just write it. Really, honestly, imagine it. I said it earlier, but imagine if it like when Doom had left the teleporter and then they started fighting the Mole Man, like Joe said. That would have been better, I think.
And yet, you know what? As I sit back and like I look at this and I compare it to other ones, because I mean, make no mistake, Fantastic Four is so bad I need to actually change my list of top 10 worst comic book movies around a little bit. But as I
doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. But as I sit here and move the list around, I'm like, okay, I've seen superhero movies that are worse than this. I've seen superhero movies that are more like hurtful than this. This one's biggest sin is really that there's just nothing there. Yeah. It's just like it's a movie that feels like a trailer for itself is what it feels like. Like is this ever gonna get started?
It's just one long trailer. Yeah.
I also feel like I feel the second half deserves the ratings and all the stuff that people are saying about it, but I honestly feel the first half, when it's the science stuff before the 1 year later, that it's better than like Dragon Ball Evolution or The Last Airbender. It's like that is the first half is not worse than those movies, to be honest. Those full movies are
like hell. I was even comparing it to Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm like, okay, that one fails harder because it tried harder is the thing. So it had that much farther to fall. But that one also had some scenes I liked it, and some scenes that in another movie would have been great.
I'd probably watch I wouldn't watch the 2007 one, but 2005 I'd watch it again. Like I have fun with that.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm thinking of revisiting the Roger Corman one.
I don't know. Maybe there's a minority of people who I know we said we like parts of the beginning, but I just like that first half, man. I couldn't say like it was all right. Like it wasn't as
that seems like the less of the meddling happened there than it did in the second half because
I was like the second half was like.
I mean, if you really want to see a movie where a bunch of people sit around monitors and montages of science happen, man, is this the movie for you?
Yeah, if you want to see just people talk science and everything.
But it's not even good science too. It's all like gobbledygook science.
But I mean, is it like, I don't know, because at least they did a little bit more with the science here as opposed to the 5 minutes of science in the other one. Like, I mean, I still like that movie because it's super fun, and it's like, if you look at it, like one was like superhero fun, beating up the bad guy, hardly any science. This one was a little bit more science and not that really much of a superhero.
I think the main thing that I've gathered from this from a ton of people, including on our Facebook, and our comments, people are saying you just can't do the Fantastic Four. Right? I'm like, yes, you can. You just need to get a studio that can fucking
do it. It's called The Incredibles.
Like, saying that the Fantastic Four are not sellable and won't work in a modern day setting is completely naive. Like, I mean,
there has to be a balance.
People said, well, you can't make Ant-Man work. You can't make Guardians of the Galaxy work. They fucking made them work. She can make 4 people that are celebrity superheroes work easily. Like,
you know what? Let's actually talk about that.
They're doing it on HBO with the Addy Shinkir, the guy who does like the Punisher Dirty Laundry one. They're doing that. That's gonna be cool.
You know, let's actually talk about that moving forward into the future now. What does Fox do now? Because it's Monday as we record this. The numbers are in, and it's a flop both in North America and overseas. Yeah.
Yo,
even though an article
fucked up when the fucking stupid countries that hate or love these type of movies over there. They love the stupid movies. Like they loved RoboCop overseas.
That's the thing. It's not getting a release in China.
Oh no! See, that's the only thing that could have saved this one. Because the Chinese audiences are so hungry for American
they
movies.
Eat that shit up.
They'll make a hit out of anything.
What do you got? Yeah. So where do they fucking go with this piece of shit?
Well, they'll sit on it for 10 years and 3 weeks until the reverts. They'll do it again.
Honestly, though, like
they're claiming right now that they're still committed to it. So.
Yeah, if they are, I don't mind the cast. Like, who are all these people? Like, I could see them if they were. They actually might go the Amazing Spider-Man route, where like, oh no, we didn't like the dark in the first one. Let's go more fun in the second one.
And it'll probably be worse. If it made money. The Amazing Spider-Man made a shit ton of money.
Oh, yeah, it made money.
Yeah, because it's Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah. And it always does, which means that they were okay with a more expensive sequel. They're not going to do a more expensive sequel to this. A movie that was cheap already and didn't make any money. We're not going to get The Watcher or Galactus in the sequel.
Every Fantastic Four movie that's come out is diminishing returns. Everyone makes less and less. It gets worse and worse scores. So,
like toxic brand.
Just get rid of it. It's like a quote unquote dead brand.
Right.
I mean, didn't everybody's been saying, since they want to do an X-Men show and X-Men is the only one making money for them, might as well do like a bargain.
And they can't. What's it called? They can't cross them over with the X-Men because that was never in the original contract. So Marvel and Disney have to say it's okay, which actually makes sense because when they made the Elektra movie, that's why Daredevil full crossover wasn't allowed, only quick flashes, because they weren't allowed to do it. So they can't do a full crossover. They can't try to save face with the goddamn X-Men, so they need to give it back.
And honestly, I hope something happens with the cast, like Marvel takes them in like they did Chris Evans or whatever. At least Michael B. Jordan and Kate Mara.
I hope they do. They're like the most generic cast ever.
Jamie Bell, I don't really like that well. Like I was like, but Miles Teller is gonna be in this boxing movie that I think is gonna be really good. It sounds really good. Kate Mara's gonna be in The Martian. Michael B. Jordan's Creed. I think they they're good. It's just that this movie like made them kind of bland.
Well, we're in an interesting situation too because I mean, there's like a lot of hate and anger between Marvel Studios and Fox. Like it can be best described as like a dick measuring blood feud. So I would not be surprised at all if they just sat on this for the next 7 years.
They will to spite Marvel Studios.
Just to spite them, where it's like, no, we're gonna sit on this till 2020. You can get this in fucking at the end of Phase 3 when you'll probably not be able to work the Fantastic Four in it all into your universe, so fuck you.
And I hope Marvel's retaliation is fine, and fuck your X-Men TV shows.
Wouldn't that be some shit? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, just to hurt them even further. I mean, if in the comics they've completely disbanded the Fantastic Four team and gotten rid of their book, that's the level of animosity that exists between these two.
But do you think if they did get them back, in the next couple months, new Fantastic Four book is out?
Netflix. It's gonna go straight to a new book and a Netflix series.
I would like Fantastic Four.
I want more of a Doom Netflix. I gotta think that'd be cool.
I've been saying for as long as I've been fucking alive, don't even do Fantastic Four first. Do Dr. Doom and Silver Surfer standalone movies first.
And then I want to
give us the damn villains.
And then after that, I really do want to see a good Fantastic Four. I
mean, my general pitch would be start off with Dr. Doom, his story. The gypsy. His mom dies. The last scene should be him entering the school. And he's face to face with Reed Richards. He's you're going to be working with him. What's his name? Reed Richards. They shake hands. It's oh shit.
Well,
someone fantastic.
So you have it like that?
There's the fucking movie. But it's no. They have to keep fucking us. So
you know what my pitch always was? My pitch always was just treat it like they've always been here. It's just they haven't been superheroes. They've locked themselves up in the Baxter building. They've been doing their science.
Well, they've been under quarantine or something.
Exactly. Pym style, they just haven't wanted to be in the light.
There you go. Have Tony Stark look across the street and be like, "Ah, god damn that Richards again," with his sense. I'm gonna go over there and give him a piece of my mind, and he doesn't. He sees them stretching around and shit, and he's like, "Whoa, you can do that? And what's with that rock guy on your couch? His name is Ben."
Yeah, you know what though? That would be cool. It ends the Doom. Armin was saying the Doom Netflix series, and it ends when they're in school. I thought you would have had it all the way to where he tries to dethrone the king of Latveria and takes it for himself.
Honestly, Doom is good enough that just like X-Men First Class, you can mask the Fantastic Four movie as a Doom movie, and everybody would like it.
Oh, yeah.
First Class was a Magneto movie. That was not an
X-Men. It basically was.
Yeah, you could. And then, during the movie, he does that and reads, you can't do that or something. The whole struggle.
Right.
That could be cool.
Yeah. X2, and it was equally as dumb.
Yeah.
The entire fucking movie. By the end of the movie, I don't understand what the black dude was saying.
Reggie Cathy, well, usually he was saying families work together because we're all did I mention we're family? They really just should have got friggin' Dominic Toretto to have played Dr. Franklin Storm is really what
yes.
He should.
That would have been a better movie.
He should be in the next Fast and Furious. Him and Dominic Toretto just get together and talk about family.
Guys, did we just solve it? The next Fast and Furious movie, they shoot them into space where they get hit by radiation.
I thought you were going to say we
this already. Did we come up with that? They strap fucking Dom's Charger to a rocket and send it to the...
And then they have the wacky space races where it's Dom needs to outrace the Skrull Empire.
Look, honestly though, Johnny already seemed like he was supposed to be in Fast and Furious from when he started driving or street racing. I was like, what?
How his car shoots flames.
Basically, what we're saying, the Fast and the Furious movies are better Fantastic Four movies and better versions of the first family than
they're better heroes.
I know.
You got The Rock there as the Thing.
That's why did no one think of that? Why is that casting that hasn't taken?
It's too simple,
Because think about it.
It's kind of like a Michael Chiklis thing again, where he just puts a little paint over him or something.
Too Fast, 4 Furious.
There you go. Because think about it, the Thing's whole deal in the comics is that he looks like this big dumb brute. Hey, but the fact is he's full of personality. Yancey Street Gang, Judaism. It would be great if that was, freaking Dominic Toretto. I think everyone would love that.
I think the only reason they didn't do something like that was get a big guy was because they wanted to do mocap this time instead of just painting over someone's body
like they did in Michael Chiklis. As well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The Rock would cost a lot, actually. Yeah.
Yep.
And what's better than a scrawny Jamie Bell?
But see, I like that it was a transformation. He was super scrawny, then he became this big rock. That was in the beginning though. So that second half.
So let's end this spoilercast by saying that I highly don't recommend this to anyone.
No, I mean, if you have to see this, wait for this on DVD, and even then, it's only just so you can skip ahead. No. During the boring parts.
No.
Maybe bargain bin it, $1.99 bargain.
It'll be there soon enough, and they're gonna rush this out to DVD very soon.
Yeah.
To help
Joe said though, if you really want to see this, get it on DVD. If you have Movie Maker, cut it at the part where it says 1 year later, and then just export it. That's your movie.
Or what you could do is go to the cinema, pay for it, right? Because I don't know whether your cinemas are like this, but they allow for up to 30 minutes into the film, you can come out and get your money back and leave.
That's a good deal.
So you could just like watch the first 15 minutes, come back out, say the movie's shit, get your money back, and go, I don't know, the subway or something. I don't know.
Go to Subway, I guess.
That would go that would waste a lot of money in the year. People don't like wasting.
Sandwich. Go to Denny's and get an invisible.
Get a Thing Burger, yeah. Go to Denny's and get the Thing Burger.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
You know, that's probably made them more money than the actual movie.
I know.
Oh, well.
Hey, what's on a Thing Burger? Let's find out. There looks to be an egg on it, some cheese, some kind of orange.
They have a sauce. They have a sauce on it. It's called Thing Sauce.